Welcome back. We're still talking on the mineral wool insulation industry in Malaysia. It's not quite a new industry, it's not quite a new technology, but what the MIMG is trying to do is to promote the usage of it, especially when we are talking about going green and all that related.
Exactly.
And of course to build the nuclear reactor like what you said. Having said all that, what's the current demand in Malaysia?
We estimate as an industry that the total turnover is around 80 to 100 million ringgit per year. And we know that the three members of MIMG constitute a significant, by far the biggest part of that, but there are a few other players. And it's actually quite small. For the size of Malaysia, this market has the potential to grow dramatically. And as I said earlier, that's also why we formed the industry group, to work together with government and the construction industry to promote awareness about what can actually be achieved if you start to use more insulation.
I mean, how much do you manufacture for the local use of the Malaysian buildings or for the Malaysian insulation industry?
It is actually, it's a quite a voluminous material.
So,
for instance,
do you export the materials, or
we export it? But maybe there's, let's say, around 50,000 tons of this material being manufactured in Malaysia every year. A significant part of that is actually exported today, because Malaysia, as a home market, cannot take it all. So there's a significant export from Malaysia to Singapore, to Indonesia, to Vietnam, Taiwan, some to Australia. And more or less to the whole region. There aren't that many manufacturers of this type of material in Southeast Asia yet.
How about for the materials? It is, like what you said, it's a natural resource.
Yeah, we are using natural resources.
So would you one day face the, the crisis of having to get the supply of the raw materials, or that's not quite the concern?
I don't think there's an issue of getting the raw materials, because we did some studies on showing how would the impact of this, and through the studies that we have done, basically the rock that we are taking is abundant materials, which also being developed over time, and similar to the glass. Having said that, I think the materials that we are using, the end product of it is able to be recycled.
I see.
Yes.
So when you mentioned about, when I mentioned in the beginning of the show about molten glass and even stone, what are the other ways to insulate other than using mineral, or is that the only?
On a global basis, the biggest type of insulation is what is called plastic foam, so polystyrene type, polyurethane type. That is probably
no, that does ring a bell.
Yeah. But in Malaysia, that material is not very very used for insulation. Probably for historic reasons, mineral wool had a very good penetration 25 years ago, and there are also the good properties of combining thermal insulation with fire performance and acoustics, which is quite unique for mineral wool.
When we mention about insulation, it's been because I have this quote here that says that it's also the lowest hanging fruit for energy efficiency. Can you elaborate on that?
Yes. Okay. When you look at how to combat the global emission, then people talk about reducing CO2 emissions or greenhouse gas emissions, and that has a cost, because you need to invest in technology, you need to improve your buildings or your transportation or your plant, your factory.
Is this in any way adding cost to the...
Yeah, but the issue is that some of these technologies also have great benefits. For instance, you save on energy, meaning you save on your electricity bill. For a country, you can create jobs in an industry sector, for instance, the construction industry. You can maybe improve comfort to a level where you have less absenteeism. So when you add all the costs and all the benefits,
in the long run,
then actually some technologies have a net positive benefit for a country. And there's a very important and very famous study done by the American consultancy company McKinsey that actually ranks all kinds of technologies, and in that study, insulation comes out as one of the best one of the lowest hanging fruits. So actually by applying insulation to buildings in Malaysia, it's actually a net gain for the Malaysian economy. And this is recognized by the Ministry of Natural Resources and Environment and by the Ministry of Energy, Green Technology and Water. So a lot is going on the ministry level to see how can you actually promote this type of better buildings, greener buildings with lower energy efficiency.
Now, having said that, how does this technology measure up to the other technologies with regards to having greener buildings and all that? You mentioned about it being the best. Just
the reason I'm hesitating a bit is that the studies done are not done on Malaysia, so they're done on a more regional or global scale, and therefore we don't have the exact answer. But what is quite interesting is that, for instance, there's a lot of talk about renewable energy production as a very important step for Malaysia for the future, because we're running out of oil and gas. And what we say is it's very important to shift energy production from fossil fuel to renewable energy, but it's even more important to not waste the energy, meaning energy savings should come first, because the energy that you don't use or you don't waste is actually free. It's actually saved energy. It's actually an energy source on its own, if you know what I mean. So one of the things we really discuss with government is there should be a lot of focus on biomass, on photovoltaics, on other types of new energy, but never forget to also go energy efficient. That's very important. Those two should go hand in hand.
In order for you to achieve the target of the 50% of carbon dioxide emission by 2015. Now, gentlemen, we're going to take our second break. Now, when we come back, we're going to be talking on the potential growth for this particular industry in Malaysia. Stay tuned.